The proof of true in the supporting records of history is if there are a myriad of references to it. What if all the previous references were all false? Scientific skepticism, or rational skepticism, is the position of someone who questions claims that lack empirical evidence. In practice, this term is usually used to check possible, previous, claims and theories which are pseudo, ambiguous and unscientific. Hermes becomes a symbol of an ambassador who is burdened with a certain mission. The success of the mission depends entirely on the way the message is conveyed. Therefore, hermeneutics ultimately means the process of changing something or a situation of ignorance to understand. As a scientific term, hermeneutics was first introduced since the emergence of the book on the basics of logic, Perihermeneues by Aristotle. Since then, the concept of logic and the use of rationality were introduced as the basis for hermeneutical action. Scientific skepticism is different from philosophical skepticism. Scientific skepticism uses critical thinking and proof by induction when trying to counter claims which lack evidence. When contradiction can be reached logically, the earlier assumptions have been proven wrong, so the statement is true. Proving by contradiction or reductio ad absurdum is not a wrong argument. On the other hand, if done right, it is a valid argument, true, and if proof by contradiction results in error, the error lies in the error of the process. Decreasing contradiction, not in the way it is proved. Science, as a process, is the steps taken by the scientists to carry out investigations in order to find an explanation about natural phenomena and verifying the truth of historical records. These steps are formulating problems, formulating hypotheses, designing experiments, collecting data, analyzing and finally, concluding. This is what happens in our history recording. That proof of true in the supporting records of history is if there are a myriad of references. What if all the previous references were all wrong? Design and make the notes uniform, and indeed with the intention to eliminate. There are 26,000 ancient manuscripts belonging to Indonesia transported to Leiden, Netherlands. If they are stretched, they can reach 12 kilometers in length. The National Library itself only collects 10.3 thousand ancient manuscripts. Less than half of them, the records of our ancestors, are possible to be interpreted as subjective, according to Dutch, and then published here, not according to facts. That the history of Indonesia is not original history because it has been bent or obscured by the Dutch in writing in 2004, Architects of Deception, The Concealed History of Freemasonry, by Uri Lena, Sweden. There are 3 ways to weaken and colonize a country. The rest of the nation will destroy it themselves. 1. Blur the history. 2. Destroy the historical evidence so that it cannot be proven. 3. Disconnect them from their ancestors, saying that their ancestors were stupid and primitive. The fact of the advancement of the ancestors of this nation, which was deliberately omitted by the publication of the word myth. What is a myth? The study of myths began in ancient history in Greece by Euhemerus, Plato and Sallustius, later developed by Neoplatonists and later revived by Renaissance mythologists. Mythology in the 19th century made the word myth as an alternative step for scientists if they failed to reveal the facts about something, Tyler, considering this label as a language error, Muller. The final approach by scientists concluded that myths are manifestations of psychological, cultural truth, or social, not as an inaccurate historical record. Underline, not as an inaccurate historical record, I mean myth is a historical record that is recorded in the story, is recorded in culture and is accurate, and the ability of our ancestors to levitate, teleport, telepathy, is true, happened. A. Bester's book, The Stars My Destination, reveals that by the year 2510 human teleportation will become commonplace, and when that happens, other means of transportation become obsolete because humans can go anywhere in space in an instant. Telepathy is the transmission of information sent from one person to another without the use of human sensory channels or physical interaction. The term was coined in 1882 by Frederick W. H. Myers, founder of the Society for Psychical Research. According to the historians Roger Luckhurst and Janet Oppenheim, the origin of the concept of telepathy in Western civilization can be traced to the late 19th century. When the physical sciences made significant advances, scientific concepts were applied to mental phenomena. Parapsychology explained several forms of telepathy. The name, metaphysics, was given by Andronikos of Rhodos in 70 BC to the works that were compiled after the book Physics, not because of physics, metaphysics existed, but coincidentally because the book Physics appeared, the term, metaphysics, was published. Meta means after or behind something from paisika that cannot be measured by the reach of the five senses. In the previous archipelago scientists it is called Klenik, or old science. Klenik is also associated with many things that cannot be understood by reason but believed by many people or called. Superstition, in English is called superstition, is something that is considered based only on imagination alone. This is because something, unlogic, is difficult to reason. Klenik, in the original Indonesian cultural traditions, in this case the Javanese culture, is something that is hidden, or something that is kept secret from the public, because it requires deep understanding to be understood. In Javanese culture there is a science called old science. That is knowledge that is taught to those who are already mature in their consciousness. This is intended so as not to be misused or misinterpreted. Such knowledge is called klenik. This term is now another distorted teaching or religion. The truth can only be understood by those who pursue higher knowledge. In Islam it is called makrifat. For ordinary people the truth of religion is quite believed. This is the name called klenik. This is not magic or duality, hyang widi tunggal. Not only because of different cultures the claim of musyrik is easily back up. Humans on Earth originally had the modest capacity to detect T particles originating in the universe, the basic sensory receptors of modified, human, neurons. This could be engineered through highly advanced technology. Telepathic communication is not limited by the distance of space and time, through the limitations of material or something beyond matter that is not currently known, particle T. The T particle can move between two locations, for example the sun and the brain, by conventional propagation through normal space, and has been shown to be a normal component of the ultrafast solar wind, moving much slower than the speed of light. However, virtual T particles and T particles can also interact with the exchange of ultrarelativistic neutrinos that can propagate over compact dimensions, enabling extremely fast transfer of information over long distances. The telepathic language-like transfer of information relies on the neutrino resonance between the T particle arrays in two telepathically paired brains, telestids. That even teleportation penetrates the limitations of space and time, communicating with its predecessors. About 5,000 years ago a rare phenotype in humans allowed some capacity to reach a telepathic level of consciousness, and having experienced positive selection to the level of the ability to maximize human potential to the highest, it is concluded that humans have and can do it. This has happened to the advanced civilization of the archipelago. It was repeated in the 5th century AD by humans in the land who at that time was experiencing a darkness, while in the past Indonesian archipelago was experiencing a bright period. By Santo Saba.